Hello there, and welcome back to what is already our third session during Automation Days Asia. Time really flies this day. It is my great pleasure to start and introduce our next speaker today, who is going to talk about the hyperautomation journey with UiPath. Tomasz Gaczynski is the RPA manager at UiPath, and he's really a seasoned RPA and process automation specialist. Thomas is actually the person I reach out to whenever I have a question around RPA that I personally cannot solve. He has a massive and extensive experience with RPA, SAP, and process automation in a variety of different aspects. He worked as a consultant and pre-sales for different companies such as ReadSoft, Kofax, and UiPath. Additionally, as you will see throughout this demonstration, Thomas is really passionate about automating processes and has done so at a variety of different shared service centers all across Asia Pacific and China. Today, he's going to share his experience with us. So give a warm round of welcome to Tomasz Gaczynski from UiPath. Thomas, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jan William, and thank you for all of you to join. Thank you for joining us today. So let me start quickly here, and let's jump into the presentation I prepared for you today. I would like to say a few words about us, UiPath, first. You see, UiPath is a Romanian company founded in the city of Bucharest in year 2005. And this year we had our IPO, so our headquarters have moved to New York. I don't want to spend too much time talking about UiPath in here because most of the information you can find online, but I would like to highlight one thing. UiPath as of now is considered the biggest RPA and automation company. When it comes to recognition that we have received, practically every analyst, every IT journalist have recognized UiPath either as technology leader, star performer, or simply number one in process automation, especially RPA-based process automation space. I want to attract your attention to this small blue chart, bottom right corner of my slide, because I strongly believe this is the best testimony of UiPath solution. You see, in year 2017, UiPath was valued as a company on its own as with $8 million US. Before our IPO in 2021, we were already valued as 35 billion US dollars. This value has gone up significantly since IPO, but the value itself is not why I brag here. It's how it proves that process automation using UiPath, RPA, and enterprise automation technologies work. Think about it this way, right? You are buying our products based on the subscription license. And this means that we can promise you a lot of things, and you will probably start rather small. You will get a few robots, you will implement them during your year one, and then you will evaluate your results. If you're happy, well, you will get more UiPath robots. If you're unhappy, you will simply terminate the subscription and nothing good will happen to both of us. So this incredible growth we've experienced over the last few years simply tells the market, or it's a message from the market that our solution worked. And I hope I'll show you how we can help you get there, get to the stage where you will become a fully automated enterprise. Okay, but why are we even talking about automation, right? This is something that people have been doing for a long, long time. But if we start looking at organizations, at big companies, big, small, and medium, you will notice that growth in manual work, when companies get bigger, when companies get involved in more processes, when they extend their product or services portfolio, this additional manual work necessary to complete processes results with 50+% of decline in productivity growth. Well, we have to process these documents. We have to get reports done. We have to have shipments sent out. And all these processes, doesn't matter how hard we try, they still contain a lot of manual work. And that's why billions of hours are spent daily on manual tasks. And companies, as they grow their portfolios, right, they also add new applications and systems to their ecosystem. And that's why around 70% it's an increase in apps and that companies using over the last 4 years. So you have lots of documents, you have lots of processes, you have lots of manual work and lots of system you have to work with. So this simply indicates that the potential of automation is massive. But automation can be achieved in multiple ways. And one of the simplest, one of the easiest to implement, one of the least disruptive automation is based on what we call a human emulation. So this is where robots or software robots that UiPath offers simply take over some of the work that is normally done by a person, and they try to execute it in the same way people do. Well, McKinsey estimates that there is around 3.6 trillion of work that is automatable. It is applicable to developed countries. It is very much growing in developing countries. But human emulation, like I said, being one of the technologies, is just the easiest, the fastest to implement, and one that brings you the benefit with the least effort. So let's take a look at what happens when companies embark on this automation journey. And of course, they start small, right? You can see that we have beginners here, beginners who just maybe got their few robots, right? We have intermediates, companies that have already automated a number of processes, and eventually leaders who had put effort into automating as much as they could because they realized that this is the only way forward if they want to stay competitive, if they want to operate with maximum efficiency. So over 9 times, this is how frequently 9 times more automation leaders saw cost savings than beginners in the past years, right? So leaders are simply automating faster and automating better. Over 6 times more automation leaders saw the revenue growth than beginners in the past year. Like I said, automation can be done in multiple ways, and the better we do it, the better tools we use it, the more results we get to see. And roughly around double the number of automation leaders experience productivity and revenue growth and cost savings than intermediate in the past year. So obviously there is a journey there, right? You will start somewhere, and as you automate, you will get better at what you do and achieve more and more benefits. But you have to start somewhere, right? That's the important story here. When it comes to automation or digital transformation or getting into a fully automated enterprise, this is not something that happens overnight. This is something that has to be properly implemented. This is something that has to be properly executed and planned. If you take a look at this slide, you will see that we have those 4, I would say, immediate steps of every automation's journey. Of course, this is a little dynamic situation because we have seen customers really adopting a lot of technology on their one, a lot of automation technologies on their one, but we have also seen customers who started very small. They managed to get management buy-in with initial results, and eventually keep progressing, keep steadily moving towards growing their automation scope. And these journey steps will have here such as proof, right? Nowadays, RPA is really well proven. We have thousands of companies using it. We have thousands of journalists writing about it and showing how it works. But still, seeing is believing, right? So a lot of our customers start with only few robots, few processes automated. They want to prove the technology. They want to show it to their management, the benefits they get, and eventually get more budget, eventually get more buy-in and commitment from management. Once we manage to prove, we can now move to establish, where automation is already considered a way to go, but we want to now adopt more, we want to implement more automation across specific department. Once we have this apartment serving as a customer story, I would say, or a success story, we can proceed and expand. We can create new strategies. We can create a center of excellence. We can adopt automation operating model, formalize funds processing, and on, and have this automation finally expand to different departments, expand to different business units across the organization. But once expansion stage is really ongoing, we can start looking into growing our technology stacks, finding technologies or components that will help us automate processes that previously were considered very difficult to automate. And with scaling our automation, we can adopt concepts such as citizen developer and simply enable everyone in the organization to become their own RPA or automation developer. So you see, don't get discouraged if you can't identify 100 processes that you will automate on day one. Start in one place, get some knowledge, get some people on board, create awareness, and then smoothly with UiPath and Cybiant Assistant, keep growing. But okay, I'm talking about RPA and robotic process automation and on, but I'm not even sure if we have the same understanding of RPA here. You see, RPA created so much noise, so much marketing noise, I would say, all around the internet that now people have very different understanding and sometimes very different expectations toward it. So let's make sure we have a shared understanding here. And that's why I brought up a definition I borrowed from McKinsey's webpage, and it states, RPA, it's short for robotic process automation, is a type of software that mimics the activity of a human being in carrying out the task within a process. Well, here we have the first very important takeaway, right? Software robot is simply a piece of software that will try to emulate what humans are doing. Remember, I already told you about emulation, that this is one of the easiest automation technique, and definitely robots can take over a lot of manual tasks, and simply if you as a person have to press a button in web application or in desktop application as a part of your process activities, we can have a robot to press the same button. If we have an input field to be populated, well, robot can populate this input field too. So in short, think about robot as a digital employee that can be asked to perform the same activities you do on your computer. But we have a second part to this definition, which states robots can do repetitive stuff more quickly, accurately, and tirelessly than humans, freeing them to do other tasks requiring human strength, such as emotional intelligence, reasoning, judgment, interaction with the customer. Well, that's true. Robots are much faster than we are. Robots are more accurate. They make no typos if implemented properly. Robots never get tired. But at the same time, when it comes more challenging process parts or more challenging processes involving, for example, aspects of emotional intelligence or involving communication with your customers in natural language, or, for example, challenges that require reasoning or performing judgment based on incomplete data, this is where robots still fall short to us. That's why this second part of this definition actually explains the essence of RPA-based automation. It really combines the robot skills and the robot strengths with human strengths, put them together in order to achieve incredible savings and incredible productivity gains. But let's go for a short example. Imagine I have a finance and accounting process. It is supplier invoice processing, and I have no automation in place. The process will most likely look like that. There will be an accountant or a group of accountants assigned to it, and let's use John, our accountant, as an example. And let's say he's responsible for processing invoices that were submitted through email. So John will log into his computer, will open an email, will check if there is an attachment there, will check if this attachment is an invoice. If it is, he'll probably have to save it somewhere. He will validate invoice data to make sure that everything we expect in this invoice is there. Having confirmed that, John will log into some ERP or accounting system, will retype the data, will finalize that. So if everything is in order, he will finalize the transaction. So John is done with invoice number 1. It might have taken him 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depends on the process itself. But the moment he's done with invoice number 1, John is back to his inbox. And now there is another email waiting there. So another set of activities such as opening email, save attachment, validate invoice, retype the data, and now bam, we have a problem. Something didn't work. System reported an error message, some discrepancies were shown, and on and on. So this is where John starts working with his brain a little bit more. This is where John, an experienced accountant, has to tap into his experience, I would say, and his knowledge. He needs to show some creative problem-solving skills, figure out what went wrong, find a way how to solve this problem, address this exception, and then when he's done, finalize this transaction. And then John is back to his email inbox again for invoice number 3, invoice number 30, invoice number 300. So this is how John's work will most likely look at. But there is something fundamentally wrong with this. You can see here that this slide is filled with blue boxes, and these blue boxes represent what we call the low-value work. It's a manual work where you work mostly with your hands. So now we're literally asking John to spend most of his day typing and clicking instead of using what he is truly valued for: his brain, his knowledge, his experience. Of course, there is a yellow box here that represents a little bit of brain's work, but if we compare it with amount of manual work, it really falls short to it. So now we're literally asking John to do work that can be done by a 5-year-old kid. Think about, for example, saving an attachment. And this is not what we want to pay our experienced accountant for. So how do we solve this problem? Well, we simply take all this manual work and we hand it over to a robot. Robot will never get tired. Robot will never get bored. Robot will never get burnt out. And now we have a robot doing most of the manual work and involving John when situation or when the process requires human strength. So this way, combining robot and John's brain skill, we achieve the value of John's work that we really want to pay him for. If we try to depict it in a bit different way, imagine this blue and yellow stripe here represents John's day at work. You can see that it's mostly filled with blue boxes with episodic brain's work. Working this way, John probably will complete 100 transactions a day. But if we add a robot and let this robot work hand in hand with John, you can see that most of the manual work can be passed to a robot and have John's filled with brain's work. This is the true value and true essence of RPA-based automation. Combining the skills and the strengths of robot and humans to process potentially 5 times or even more times transactions every day. But at this stage, people usually ask me, so Tomasz, you said that robots can do a lot of things, but not everything. So what can these robots do? Well, you see, I started with RPA-based automation around 5 years ago. And that time, robots were rather basic. But nowadays, in 2021, UiPath robots are really capable and really powerful at processing or performing a variety of tasks on your computers. Robots can log into any application and interact with it. Whether this application is on your desktop, whether it's a web-based application or remote application, a robot can press all the buttons. Robots can interact with all the application user interface components. Robots can process large amounts of files. They can index them, they can organize them, they can get data, feed data into these files very efficiently. Robots have skills we don't have. For example, they can read and write data to databases directly, right? This helps them to achieve much greater speeds and eliminate some user interface related challenges on the way. Robots never get tired, so if you send them to scrape the data from all over the internet, they will gladly do so, and they will keep crawling and getting you the data you need. Robots have another skill we don't have. They can connect to system APIs, work with application backend interfaces, yet again, achieving faster and more robust automations. One of the important skills that robots have received fairly recently is ability to read and process documents. You can imagine as an organization, you have a lot of processes that involve documents that your business partner have sent you. Suppliers send you invoices, customers send you purchase orders, people send you letters or remittance advices. We need robots to be capable of getting the data from these documents and then using this data to automate the process. So this is what robots have become really, really good at. Of course, we can have robots working with emails and attachments, and finally, robots being machines, make calculations very quickly and follow business rules. So these UiPath robots can really take over quite a lot of manual, repetitive, and tedious work. Let me show you an example here. So this is a video I recorded for proof of concept purposes. One of our customers had a finance and accounting process which involved posting a variety of journals. So every day, accountant would receive an email or multiple emails from requesters who attached Excel sheets to email. And inside this Excel sheet, there was a list of transactions that had to be posted. So accountant was responsible for processing this Excel sheet row by row, typing in data, or storing this Excel sheet in a proper space, typing data that it received from the Excel itself into this desktop application, like you can see here, and finally recording the transaction number in the top right corner and updating this transaction number into the Excel sheet and also updating into web transaction tracker. So we had Outlook, we had Excel, we had desktop application, we have web applications, and a lot of repetitive work. So what we did is we built a robot. A robot was executed upon request by our accountant. You can see this is a robot, what we call the assistant panel. And here I can press the play button to hand over this work to a robot. So now robot is executing. Robot has already extracted the information from the email, grabbed the Excel sheet, and saved it in a respective folder. Now this robot is executing on my desktop. You can see it's reading data from Excel sheet that we have in here and typing it accordingly into my desktop application. Having completed an entry in desktop application and received new transaction number, robot copies this transaction number, pastes it into Excel, and then starts updating a web-based transaction tracker. So robot is filling in all the information, and now it is about to be done. So we had around 20, maybe 25 seconds of robot execution, and the robot processed 5 different transactions and has already created a response email and put it in the accountant's inbox or in email. You can see that there is an attachment with updated transaction numbers. And if we take a look at the folder, you'll find that now our journal list is also stored accordingly. And last thing here is where we can take a look and see that the transaction tracker, our web transaction tracker, has been updated. So this is exactly what robots do. You know, they take all this repetitive work, manual work, they do it on their own. They can execute on your desktop while you are, let's say, sitting in an important meeting and helping companies strategize and maybe plan for better use of your resources. Robots can run on dedicated servers out of user side and simply communicate with business users when exception arise or when robot needs assistance with making a complex decision it wouldn't be able to. Right. So this is how powerful these robots have become. And you can probably see now that applications are almost endless. But still, I do get a question. People approach me and say, Tomasz, okay, it sounds great. You know, I'm involved with processes at company X. We are in industry Y, and I'm part of the department Z. Will your robot, will UiPath robot work for me? Well, my answer is like that, most likely. But tell me a little bit more about your processes, because I honestly don't need to know what industry you're from. I don't need to know what company you're working for. I don't need to know what department you're with. As long processes that you're involved into are manual, repetitive, tedious, high volume, processes need to be executed very quickly and accurately. This is where robots fit in perfectly. So you see, the nature of the process defines how well a robot will fit or how well will a robot belong in your department. Of course, we did a little bit of research and we tried to understand how our customers use our software and when do they get the most benefits. And certain departments really popped up here because, again, the nature of the processes. If you think about finance and accounting, customer service, HR, procurement, IT or service desk, they have a lot of manual repetitive processes that robots can tap in and take over some of these work. And if you ask me about use cases, well, we have, I'll say, hundreds of thousands of them across different industries and different departments. In HR services, we have robots doing a great job with payroll, robots helping to manage time and attendance, robots onboarding new employees, offboarding employees, and helping with recruitment. Personal administration or even training new employees, it's something that robots can do very well. In supply chain, we have robots helping with inventory management, work order management, freight management, robots that can help with returns processing, and robots combined with artificial intelligence like machine learning models to help with demand and supply planning. IT services is probably our second biggest robot consumer. You know, they have a lot of this routine and repetitive maintenance and IT-related tasks like server and application monitoring, routine maintenance, batch processing, or even such as simple things as resetting someone's password or unlocking someone's account. This is all what robots can do. Finance and accounting is probably our biggest consumer of robots after all. They have lots of repetitive processes across purchase to pay, order to cash, record to report, and collections. And nowadays, with coronavirus at large and lots of interactions that used to be face-to-face, human interactions, they had to become digital. That's why a lot of our customers and prospects have put robots, together with chatbots into their customer service. And now these two work to service your customers better. So this is just a tiny tip of a massive iceberg of use cases. And I'm pretty sure if we have a conversation, I will be able to find at least one or few processes that will fill into this perfectly automatable category. But how do we do this? Well, we usually start with RPA. You see, RPA, it's a very powerful automation technique. UiPath has really excelled at RPA-based automation, and with our software robots itself, you can already automate a lot of different use cases. But RPA can't do everything. And as you automate, as you venture to those more challenging automation territories, you will realize that aside of RPA, you need more. You need some skills such as natural language processing, computer vision, AI skills in short. You may need some machine learning to handle some challenging domains where there is some uncertainty, or simply the number of cases, templates that we want to work with is just too high to handle them individually. We will probably see processes which require more human involvement for decision making, review, and on and on. So making sure that human in the loop is there is also very, very important. Process mining to help us understand what's going on around organization, native integrations, and advanced analytics. All these technologies facilitate your automation journey. But Gartner has realized that even though all these technologies exist, they are quite badly disconnected. They come from different vendors. And very often, the simple fact that you have to purchase 3 pieces of software from 3 different vendors and then have them integrated in order to automate a specific use case, this will pose a problem. Integration will be time-consuming, integration will cost you money, and the fact that this disconnect exists will simply drive your ROI down, will drive your potential savings down. So this problem was big enough to derail some bigger automation programs or automation journeys that I have seen in the past. And Gartner has really recognized this and came up with a concept of hyperautomation. Simply having all these features, all these functions available as a part of a single platform that is seamlessly integrated, that can be activated at any point of time whenever you venture into those bit more challenging use cases. So this is what UiPath is quite unique for. See, all these components, RPA, AI skills, machine learning, process mining, advanced analytics, it's all within our platform. But remember, I told you about journey, right? You don't have to start with all of that on day one. It may be even a little bit overwhelming. So that's why we're perfectly happy to help you start with a few purely RPA automated processes. As you keep going on, you keep getting more support, you keep venturing into more challenging use cases, we have all these technologies that you can simply activate as platforms in our, as modules in our platform, and start using them without without integration effort and without integration cost. So this is what UiPath is really good about. But how does it work? Okay, how do we grow? What kind of people we get involved, and how do we actually progress on this automation journey? Well, our step number 1 is always a robot. At least we need one to do some automation. So these robots will run either on user desktop, if it's working hand in hand with the user, or maybe we have robots that will run on dedicated servers, handling processes that do not require human attention. So robots will run all the processes, but before they can run anything, we need to make sure they know what to do. And this is where personas such as RPA and citizen developers come in. UiPath offers a development tool called Studio. Studio is a place where a person who's familiar with, who is completely not technical, this person can simply start using Studio and drag all the boxes representing individual robots' activities in a very simple and easy to use manner. So as you drag boxes in a proper sequence, you will be teaching your robot what to do in order to complete the process. So with Studio, we will start building our automations. Once we have this automation ready, now we need to make sure we can manage it properly. We will publish this automation to UiPath Orchestrator, which is our control center. An orchestrator will manage everything that's happening around the company. It will control all the robots. It will provide all the necessary assets, will provide scheduling, and on and on. So IT team will be responsible, or dedicated center of excellence team will be responsible of making sure that the right automations go to right places and everything is operating smoothly. Once we have our processes in production, now we have robots executing some work, we will definitely realize that robots can't do everything, right? We spoke about it. And if robots can do everything, but they can still do a lot, we need to make sure that we can very easily pass the work from robot to a person and then have this work returned back to the robot when human, I would say, contribution is done, right? If we need someone to review what robot has prepared, if we want someone, a business user, to make a decision based on data that a robot was unable to make, we can hand over this task to the robot itself. Sorry, we can hand over this task to a person very seamlessly, have this automation user or business user provide its feedback, contribute, and eventually return it back to the robot itself. And so where are we? We are building our automations. We are running our automations. We're managing our automations, and we're having business users very seamlessly involved in all the activities. But you will realize something interesting. At the beginning, it's very, very easy to identify some of those challenging processes that you want to automate. You will very quickly name a few processes that will be considered like, let's say, low-hanging fruits or quick wins. And you will automate them. You will see great results. You will bring it up to your management, and this is where you will end up having a bittersweet problem. Because on one hand, your management will tell you, hey, this is great. These are the results that we were hoping for. But almost immediately after, they will come back and say, hey, we want you to automate more. We want to see more of that success across the organization. But now you're a little bit in trouble. Because, like I said, those easy to identify processes or easy to identify pain points have been automated. And now you have to understand what else is out there in your organization and which of the processes, if automated, will bring similar benefits. So we need to get a set of tools, for example, like process discovery tools built into UiPath platform that will help us to understand what is happening in your organization, what processes your employees are involved in, how much time these processes take, and on and on. So process discovery is an important process and help us to benefit from the platform by automating what really makes sense to automate. And finally, once we have all these people, RP developers, Center of Excellence platform managers, automation user, process analysts, leads in place, we need to make sure that we can first of all govern what they do, see how well they do it, and eventually measure results that we've received by implementing robots. So all of that is with the platform. All of that is available for you as you keep progressing from proof to expand to establish and eventually scale your automation journey. If I show you a slide that kind of explains the dependencies or connections between people, components, and applications, you will see that it's all very seamlessly orchestrated, very seamlessly connected, and built in a way that it naturally fits into your processes. So this is what UiPath has received so much recognition for, and this is what will help you to get through your journey. And like I said, the first and the most important part of the journey is the first step you make. Start moving. Take a first step. Get your first robot. Start automating use cases for, let's say, a single department. Once you have your robot or your automation journey objectives proven and results proven, you will go to expansion phase where you will try to cover more and more and more use cases. Once you have this more and more use cases automated, you can start building structures that will facilitate or will support your automation journey even further. Once you have, let's say, a center of excellence, once you have multiple robots, people trained, you'll be able to go for full platform adoption and expand across entire organization that will now provide a flywheel, would say, effect. As you automate more people get involved, more people get affected, more people see the benefits, more people come back asking for similar benefits. And you keep going and going towards what we call the fully automated enterprise. And as you go, you don't have to wait for the last step to realize some benefits. Probably after having one or two processes automated with one or two robots, you will see that your new direction or your efforts have helped you to accelerate growth and have simply helped you to achieve higher operational efficiency. Robots now working hand in hand with people will simply let you do more with the resources that you have right now. Of course, if you put robots to work in your customer service, there is a great chance you will see a significant improvement in customer experience. Robots will respond faster. Robots will route customer requests or inquiries to right people more accurately. Or robots will even complete certain processes fully automatically, coming back to your customers in a matter of minutes instead of hours. And we know that the customer who is serviced quickly and accurately is a happy customer. Of course, robots have no fraudulent agendas on their mind. Robots will make no mistakes if implemented correctly. Robots, if asked, they can double and triple check every record and every data. So with this facility or these capabilities at hand, we can significantly reduce the risk and ensure that whatever we do internally is really compliant with our expectations. And finally, another benefit that you will observe probably quite quickly is increase in employee engagement. As people, we are not wired to do repetitive and tedious and manual work over and over. Our brains get tired, our brains get, I would say, unhappy. We lose sense of purpose and we burn out. If we take all this manual work, hand it over to robots and let our employees spend more time being involved in those brain or mind stimulating activities, they will most likely be happier and you will see them being a lot more engaged. So these four is among many that you will see, and this is what our platform is really tuned for. But I have one more slide before I wrap up here, and it goes a little bit further than that. Remember, I started my presentation by talking about robots. Then I covered the entire platform. But with UiPath, we actually go even further than that. See, we have a philosophy. We strongly believe that RPA, software robots, will change the way how people will work with their computers in the future. And we want to be a little bit like Microsoft Excel. Well, people ask me why I like Excel. This is such a simple tool. Well, it's not about Excel's functionality, it's about what Excel represents. Think about it. Now, Excel is installed in practically every computer. Everyone has access to Excel, and if you need some work to be done that involves Excel, you can very quickly get it. And if you don't have the knowledge, you can find a lot of online tutorials. You can find a lot of YouTube videos, or potentially you can even learn how to use Excel during university. So you have access to it, you can quickly learn about it, and regardless how much you know about it, you can use it to your own benefit. So this is what we want to achieve with UiPath. We have created UiPath Academy available for everyone. This is an online training facility. Anyone can subscribe. It's completely free of charge. So you can subscribe and start learning how to build robots, how to analyze processes, and on and on. So you're learning from Academy. Would be great to practice in something. Well, We have this community edition of our software that is free of charge, fully functional for personal and educational use. So you're learning, you're practicing. You have forum to help you with your challenges, and you have UiPath Marketplace if you want to hit the ground running simply by downloading an application, downloading a pre-built automation. So you're learning, you're practicing, you have way to find your solution to your problems, and you have access to pre-built automations that you can modify and have them work to your needs. And the last thing I want to...
Thank you so much, Tomasz, for this great overview. I'm just going to, before you end this slide, I know you can talk days about automation, but we also have a couple of questions that came in during this session. So if it's okay,
perfect timing, Jan, because I was about to wrap it up, and this is where I just wanted to tell everyone, give it a try. See how this can help you work better and simply live better. Good. Let's go with the questions. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tomasz. I'm just going to select one question because there actually came in a lot of questions during your presentation. So I think it's a topic that is really close to everyone's heart. Before people will move towards one of the next sessions, and before I start moderating one question, I would like to let everyone know that Tomasz will also be presenting again tomorrow morning at 9 to show you how to build a robot by yourself. So in that live demo, we will go into more detail. So sign up for that and be there tomorrow at 9 if you want to learn more about to do that. Just going to consider one question that has been received the most votes, Tomasz, before we need to close the session, and that is from Donna: does UiPath have intelligent OCR capability to convert unstructured data to structured one?
Yes, definitely. What we call document understanding framework is part of our platform. It covers entire document processing framework, starting from ability to define document structure, if there is one, ability to digitize document, and we even provide our own OCR engines, ability to classify documents, extract data, and eventually use the human validation or classification stations to make sure that our extractions results are accurate. So short answer to your question is yes, by all means, and we strongly believe this is one of the best document understanding solutions available.
Great. Well, Tomasz, thanks so much. It's always really a pleasure to have you on these sessions. We also always see from the audience that this is a topic that is really close of interest to almost everyone else. So obviously, if you have any other questions for Tomasz, either join the session tomorrow at 9 a.m. or we're going to go into much more detail. And otherwise, always feel free to reach out to either contact me or Tomasz directly. Good. For the sake of time, Tomasz, we need to go on towards our next session. In our next session, which will start in 10 minutes, we're going to have a very interactive panel discussion with some of the leading minds in the automation industry, ranging from Malaysia to Australia. So I'd like to welcome everyone to join back again in 10 minutes when we're going to go start our panel discussion on automation. Thanks, Tomasz, so much for an excellent presentation, and it's always a pleasure to have you present.
Thank you very much for your time, and William, back to you.
Thank you.